Welcome back, mathematicians. In this video, we are going to learn about the half-angle formulas. So we have three formulas that we can use in order to evaluate trigonometric functions for angles that are not necessarily on the unit circle. An example of this would be 112.5 degrees. So we can see that 112.5 degrees is not an angle on the unit circle. So evaluating cosine, sine, and tangent and finding an exact value for this trigonometric function is not really possible. But what we can do is let 112.5 degrees equal a half angle. So this is the half angle. And what we need to do then is find out what angle prior to dividing by 2 or finding half of that angle is equal to 112.5 degrees. To do that, we would multiply both sides by 2 and we would get a product of 225 degrees. And what we see is that 225 degrees is on the unit circle. So again, I'd want to reiterate this. The half angle is the angle that is given, and your task is to find the value of the angle prior to finding a half of it, and that's the angle that you'll put into the formula here for V. Also, what you should hopefully notice is that each of these is represented as plus or minus. Now, it doesn't mean that your answer will be in terms of positive and negative exact values. It means that you need to determine which one is appropriate. To do that, you have to find where in the coordinate plane does the terminal side of the half angle lie. In the case of 112.5 degrees, that would be in quadrant number 2. So is cosine equal to a positive ratio or negative ratio in quadrant number 2? Evaluate that for sine and or tangent depending on what you're asked. Let's now use the half angle formula in order to find the exact value of the expression cosine of negative 7 pi over 12. And so first, what we hopefully recognize is that we should use the even and odd properties to deal with or contend with that negative angle. So what we know is that cosine of negative theta is equal to positive cosine of positive theta. This is our even property. As a result, we know that cosine of negative 7 pi over 12 is equal to positive cosine of positive 7 pi over 12. We will start by allowing 7 pi over 12 to be equal to the half angle. That means it's equal to V over 2. Our goal now is to find the angle that we would have prior to dividing by 2 or prior to finding half of it. To do that, we will multiply this formula by 2, and we will get, as a result, 7 pi over 6 is equal to V. So 7 pi over 6 is equal to V, which half of 7 pi over 6 is 7 pi over 12. This means that we can now rewrite cosine of 7 pi over 12 using the half angle formula, which would be plus or minus. Again, we will figure out whether we should have a positive exact value or a negative exact value in a minute. But this is equal to plus or minus the square root of 1 plus the cosine of 7 pi over 6 all over 2. From here, our goal is to do two things. Number one, figure out if this is an exact positive value or an exact negative value. And the second objective is to simplify the expression under the radical. Let's now figure out if this is a positive exact value or a negative exact value, and we'll do that by plotting 7 pi over 12 on the coordinate plane. Now what we know is that this is an angle of 0, the positive x-axis, that the positive y-axis is an angle of pi over 2, which can be written as 6 pi over 12, and we know that 7 pi over 12 is larger than that. We know that the negative x-axis is going to be an angle of pi, which we could also write as 12 pi over 12. So we know that 7 pi over 12 will have a terminal side that lies in quadrant number 2. As a result, because cosine is equal to a negative ratio in quadrant number 2, we know that this is going to be a negative exact value. So this is equal to negative square root, and now we will start the simplification process for the expression under the radical. We're going to start that by evaluating cosine of 7 pi over 6. The numerator in the expression will be 1 plus, and cosine of 7 pi over 6 is equal to square root of 3 over 2. And this is all over 2. Now we're not done. We need to continue to simplify. We're going to do that by combining the two terms in the numerator. So this is equal to the negative square root of 2 over 2 plus square root of 3 over 2, and this is all over 2. We're now going to write the numerator in terms of one fraction, so this will be equal to negative square root of 2 plus square root of 3 all over 2 all over 2. We're now going to simplify by contending with this denominator of 2, and remember that dividing by that denominator of 2 is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal, which would be 1/2. So continuing the process over here, I now have negative square root of 2 plus the square root of 3 over 4. I'm now going to go ahead and factor out 1/4 from that expression, so this becomes negative square root of 1/4 times the square root of 2 plus the square root of 3. I'm going to evaluate the square root of 1/4 to give me 1/2, so this is negative 1/2 times the square root of 2 plus the square root of 3. And I can rewrite that as negative square root of the expression 2 plus the square root of 3 all over 2, if I'd like to. And that is the exact value of cosine of negative 7 pi over 12. All right, guys, good luck.